April 2026. Formula One isn't even racing this month. The paddock is quiet, but the news that drops sends shockwaves through the entire sport. Gianpiero Lambiase, known to everyone as GP, Max Verstappen's race engineer since 2016, the voice in his ear through 4 world championships and 71 race victories, is leaving Red Bull. Not retiring, not stepping back, leaving for McLaren. The announcement confirms what insiders suspected but hoped wasn't true. Lambiase will join McLaren in 2028 as Chief Racing Officer, supporting team principal Andrea Stella with trackside operations. It's a promotion, a huge opportunity, and potentially the final nail in Red Bull's coffin, because there's one quote everyone remembers. One statement Max Verstappen made back in 2021, fresh off his first world championship, during an interview with Ziggo Sport. "I have said to him, I only work with him. As soon as he stops, I stop too." Now the world is asking, did Max Verstappen just announce his retirement without saying a word? The partnership, 2016 to 2026 Spanish Grand Prix. 2016. Max Verstappen is 18 years old. He's just been promoted from Toro Rosso to Red Bull mid-season, replacing Daniil Kvyat. The youngest driver ever to race in Formula One is now being thrown into a top team. Gianpiero Lambiase becomes his race engineer. Nobody knows this partnership will become one of the most iconic in Formula One history. Verstappen wins his first race with Red Bull that same weekend in Barcelona. But the real story is what builds over the next 10 years. The radio conversations become legendary. Verstappen and Lambiase arguing, debating, challenging each other, sometimes disagreeing mid-race. Christian Horner calls them an old married couple. "It is unbelievable how we work together," Verstappen said in 2021. "We can be very strict with each other, but I also want that. He should be able to tell me if I'm a jerk and vice versa." This isn't just driver and engineer. This is partnership built on trust and mutual respect over a decade of racing together. 71 wins, 48 pole positions, 127 podiums, 4 consecutive world championships from 2021 to 2024. But statistics don't capture the bond, the understanding, the shorthand communication that only comes from thousands of hours working together under the most intense pressure. Lambiase reads Verstappen's mood, knows when to push, knows when to back off, knows exactly what the driver needs to hear in that precise moment. And Verstappen trusts him completely. The Red Bull exodus. But this departure doesn't happen in isolation. Lambiase is just the latest in a catastrophic exodus from Red Bull Racing. Christian Horner, team principal, sold his share and left. Adrian Newey, legendary designer, departed for Aston Martin. Jonathan Wheatley, sporting director, left for Audi. Rob Marshall, chief designer, joined McLaren in 2024. Will Courtney, another key figure, moved to McLaren as sporting director. Helmut Marko, motorsport consultant and Verstappen's mentor, departed. The brain trust that built Red Bull's empire is scattered. The institutional knowledge, the technical expertise, the leadership, gone. And now Lambiase. Former F1 driver Jolyon Palmer calls it the final nail in the coffin. GP is such a linchpin for him. It connects the driver to the team. I just don't see him sticking around particularly long, probably beyond the end of this year. Red Bull is struggling. Currently 9th in the constructors' standings. The 2026 regulations haven't been kind. The car is uncompetitive. Verstappen is frustrated, and now his anchor is planning his exit. The McLaren opportunity. McLaren made Lambiase an offer he couldn't refuse. Chief Racing Officer, senior management supporting Andrea Stella, trackside operations and race team management, real authority, a pathway to potentially becoming team principal. Red Bull had expanded Lambiase's role beyond race engineer. He became one of the most influential voices in the team. But McLaren is offering something bigger, a defined leadership track, a team on the rise. McLaren won back-to-back Constructors' Championships in 2024 and 2025. Lando Norris became world champion in 2025. They've systematically recruited top talent. Rob Marshall heads engineering. Will Courtney serves as sporting director. Now Lambiase as chief racing officer. It's a formidable lineup building for long-term dominance. Aston Martin reportedly chased Lambiase hard in 2025 for a team principal role, but McLaren's championship credentials prove more attractive. Juan Pablo Montoya suggests Red Bull could have matched the offer. It's a role that Red Bull certainly could have given him as well. But Red Bull didn't, and now they're losing him. The contract situation. The awkward scenario. Here's where it gets complicated. Lambiase's contract with Red Bull runs through the end of 2027. He won't officially join McLaren until 2028. That's 20 months of awkwardness. Working for a team while everyone knows you're leaving for their rival. Former F1 driver. David Coulthard calls it an awkward scenario. And he's right. How does this play out? Does Lambiase continue as Verstappen's race engineer through 2027? Does Red Bull put him on gardening leave? Does McLaren negotiate an early release? Nobody knows yet. Both teams confirmed the 2028 start date. But the operational reality of having a departing employee in such a critical role for nearly 2 years creates serious complications. And Verstappen's contract? It runs through the end of 2028. But there are performance clauses, exit clauses. If Red Bull doesn't improve performance by certain benchmarks, Verstappen can leave. Given Red Bull's current 9th place in the standings, those clauses are almost certainly active. Verstappen could walk away tomorrow if he wanted to. What Max said, and what it means. Jos Verstappen addressed the situation in an interview with Race Express. We knew for a while. We have another 1.5 to 2 years to work with him. It's a huge opportunity for him, so we understand. We told him to grab it with both hands. The Verstappens encouraged Lambiase to take the McLaren role, which suggests Max isn't planning to follow that 2021 quote literally. But Jos adds, I think things have changed. Certainly after 4 championships, you have achieved a lot together. Things have changed. In 2021, Verstappen was hungry, chasing his first title. Now, 4 championships, 71 wins, nothing left to prove, and a frustrating car that can't compete. Verstappen has made clear his dissatisfaction with the 2026 regulations. He's competing in GT3 racing. He'll participate in the Nürburgring 24 hours in May. Exploring other motorsport adventures? Maybe that 2021 quote wasn't a threat. Maybe it was a prediction. When Lambiase stops being his race engineer, maybe Verstappen genuinely does stop racing in Formula One. Not because he's angry, but because after 10 years together, after 4 world championships and 71 victories, maybe there's nothing left to chase. The speculation. McLaren now employs Verstappen's race engineer. Some speculate McLaren is positioning to sign Verstappen himself. CEO Zach Brown inquired about Verstappen's situation at the start of 2025. Nothing materialized. But now, if Verstappen leaves Red Bull, could he follow Lambiase to McLaren? Unlikely. Lambiase won't be a race engineer there. He's chief racing officer. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have their engineers. More likely, Verstappen takes a break from Formula One, pursues other racing series, endurance racing, rallying. He's 28 years old with 4 championships and nothing left to prove. The legendary partnership between Max Verstappen and Gianpiero Lambiase will end in 2028. After 12 years together. After building one of the most successful driver-engineer relationships in Formula One history. Whether Verstappen races beyond that point remains motorsport's biggest question. He said when GP stops, he stops too. And GP is stopping. The next 20 months will determine everything. Can Red Bull turn their season around? Can they rebuild? Can they give Verstappen a reason to stay? Or is this the beginning of the end for one of the greatest careers Formula One has ever seen? As soon as he stops, I stop too. Max Verstappen said it. Now the world waits to see if he meant it.